Welcome to 2022, Mavericks. You know, the current climate of examining equality in our country and the world is, I think most of us would agree, kind of overdue. And I don't think since World War II have we seen so many question the current state of things and ask, what more can we do? What's next? What else is there? You see changes in news and media, information sharing, decentralized finance around the banking system and getting money back into people's hands. Investments are better. Investment advice is more prevalent. Really, everywhere you look, whether it's YouTube, social media, or even some standard news, you're seeing people helping to change people for the better. And that's pretty cool. I took this book, The Bohemian Guide to Urban Cycling by Sean Benesh, on vacation with me. And in it, Benesh speaks about living in many cities and how transformative they were because of cycling and how it transformed his own life. And he also talks about tribes of people and different types of riders, different types of bikes. And he's spot on. It's a great book. You should really pick it up. Reading this book reminded me of something I'm really passionate about and always have been, and a thing that really draws me to cycling again and again. It's something that's seldom talked about as an advantage in cycling, and that's equality. In my first ever episode of this podcast, I spoke about the fact that your bike, like a good dog, doesn't care if you feel fat, if you're tired, if you've had a bad day, if you're black, white, Asian, a purple dinosaur. It doesn't care. It wants your attention. It wants to be ridden. And it is reliable. I've always believed this, and I always will, because I've lived it. You know, prior to joining the Air Force, I grew up like pretty much a normal American in the 80s. I would ride my bike everywhere in ever-expanding circles from my home to the edge of my town and beyond, and that allowed me freedom and exploration and a sense of learning. It also helped me get to jobs, which provided me income and helped equality. But like most Americans, when I turned 16 and could afford a car, I ditched the bicycle, stupidly, so that I could expand that freedom. And while it was wonderful, when I got in the Air Force, I quickly realized it's also costly. And I ended up riding my Nishiki bike that I got from a friend for, I think, $80, as my primary transportation for most of the time I was in the Air Force. Because I had an old Land Rover, which was constantly old and broken down. And while I loved it, it wasn't reliable. And so even in the wretched Tucson summers, I would get myself back and forth to my job, to see friends, to get groceries, etc., on my Nishiki. It allowed me to save a ton of money, not putting it into a vehicle in expenses I couldn't afford as a no-rank mud rolling airman, and helped equalize me financially and get me to another level because it was always reliable, it was super cheap, and it got me where I needed to go. Biking, like all things that involves people, automatically breaks into tribes. At first glance, you might think this is a bad thing. We know what happens when people in society break into camps. They become more insular and their behavior becomes more insular. And that doesn't do humanity any favors. I rail against this all the time in my podcast about the cycling community and the exclusive and exclusionary kind of mindset that makes up a small group of people who tend to be wealthy and ride expensive bikes. Yet while the lycra-clad $10,000 bike set may appear intimidating at first, if you're a newcomer or returning to cycling for the first time in a lot of years, I can promise you that your tribe has exponentially more people in it than that group. Recreational riders, parents who just want to spend more time with their kids, one-gear riders, beer-drinking, ear-flap, hat-wearing hipsters in skinny jeans, guys who make their living on their bike and folks like me who use their bike to get to work, to make a living. Now, after the Air Force, I went back to college and had a broken down old Chevy, which was at least as unreliable as my Land Rover. I bought a Schwinn Premise for $125, and that got me around college, to work, getting groceries, etc. the whole time I was there. Again, equalizing me, where I wasn't blowing money I didn't have on an expensive vehicle that would just continue to suck the life out of me. Instead, I rode my bike, and it meant everything. It helped me save money, it helped me pay for college, it helped me get my degree and move up. And now that I'm older and I'm in a better position in life, I've returned to cycling more than ever. I still consider it a great equalizer, and I'm doing my best to share that through my bike charity with folks who need a leg up, whether they're kids at risk in schools who need transportation to get to school, to get that education that gets them to the next level, folks who are older, who need a leg up or on hard times. The bicycle gets you to work. The bicycle gets them home. The bicycle gets them fed. The bicycle is reliable. The bicycle gets them equality. See, bikes always have done that. From the turn of the 20th century, when they were the transportation of choice for the masses, to the modern day, where they're the choice of those who are either more desperate than most, in need of equality, or for good health. The bicycle doesn't care. Doesn't care who you are. Doesn't care how you look. Doesn't care what you like, what you represent, whether you take it out every single day or whether you take it out once in a blue moon, whether you make a 6-figure salary or a $6 salary. The bike awaits you. It transports you. It transforms you, regardless of circumstances. And that is the rub. Now, I'm not anti-car. I love cars. I've had many cars. Bikes aren't here simply for you to fight against gas companies and corporate greed, though you can. Instead, they help you fight for yourself, for your health, for your environment, for your wallet. And that helps raise everybody and make them more equal. Your bike is exponentially less expensive than your car, or can be. You don't have to go out and spend thousands of dollars on a bike and hundreds of dollars on matching kit or expensive accessories that you really can't afford. You can buy a decent bike for $1,000 that will serve you well for years to come and likely outlive you, rather than rusting away in less than a decade. If $1,000 is too much, you can get a decent one-gear bike for a couple hundred off of eBay or Facebook or Walmart, or even bring one back to life that you found in a dumpster. We cover all these things on this channel. And no matter what you ride or wear, there's a tribe out there of like-minded cyclists that will accept you. A lifestyle that will keep you fit and healthy, and repair costs that will leave your wallet swooning for you like never before. When you look at the cost of owning your car versus a bike, it's not even a contest. Your car is going to cost you between $6,300 and $10,000 a year, all in, for your payments, your oil, your wipers, your brakes, tires, maintenance, all that. On a bicycle, you make a purchase for $0 to $2,500 and you get a very fine bike. It's a one-time fee, which is a fraction of the cost of a car. Your annual maintenance is $200 or less, and that's in tubes and tires, cables, and chain oil. And that's it. Other than that, it's going to run. It's not going to rust out, and you're going to be able to put all that savings towards your education, your investments, your bills, equality. The bicycle, when it comes right down to it, is an enabler. So now I want to hear from you, Mavericks. Do you have a personal story about how your bike has helped elevate you and provide you equal opportunity, equal chance, the ability to get to work, how it's gotten you to school, etc., like it did for me? Or do you know a person who could use or has used a bicycle to make them more equal, to give them a shot, a fair chance? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Love to read them. All right, Mavericks. That's it.
Enough talk!
So come on, let's ride. And remember, every time you do, you're making the world a more equal place. Don't forget to pick up your swag for this episode or any of our episodes at the Maverick Store. Consider supporting the channel by becoming a Patreon. Get access to extras and staff and content you can't get on the regular channel. Help spread cycling love by hitting that like and subscribe button. YouTube's algorithm only shares our content with other people who like cycling or want to get into it if you hit like and subscribe. So hit the buttons and help share. This episode's bill approved.